Kamala Harris is back and absolutely torching Donald Trump and his administration. Or at least that's what Midas Touch is telling us. The consummate number one Democrat Party glazing channel on earth is once again doing what they do best, trying to convince us that milquetoast, run-of-the-mill, underachieving Democrat candidates are somehow going to save us from Donald Trump and the MAGA administration. Here's the problem. When they had the position 4 years ago, they couldn't save us. They made things worse. And they can't seem to explain how they're going to save us. So they rely on propaganda channels like Midas Touch to explain for them. You're going to save us. You just can't explain how. But we'll let Midas Touch tell us how.
Wow, she's back. Former Vice President Kamala Harris just gave an incredible speech at the 10th Austrian World Summit. She's actually speaking with Arnold Schwarzenegger. She got a standing ovation. I want to show you what went down. Former Vice President Kamala Harris talked about the Trump regime being the most callous and corrupt regime in American history. Let's watch what she said.
It is essentially the most callous, corrupt, and incompetent presidential administration America's ever experienced.
Now I want to show you the full portion of her comments right there. Very, very powerful. Let's play it.
Predicted just about everything that has happened with this administration.
Wait a minute. I hate to stop it so soon. Bro, Kamala Harris, an incredible speech and powerful speech. These things they can't exist in the same reality. Already, whoever this guy is, I don't watch Midas Touch. Maybe I don't. But whoever this guy is, he's starting off with a lie. Because what we learned from witnessing Kamala Harris in office for 4 years is that her eloquent, powerful, these words, they don't go in the same sentence. And even on the small clip that he just played of her speaking, it sounded like the beginning of gobbledygook. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, whatever. We should at least be able to agree on that. This woman is not a very effective speaker. She didn't get to where she is today by using her mouth for speaking. Got there by using her mouth, but not for speaking. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me.
And you say I told you so?
I don't say I told you so. That's kind of obnoxious. I don't say that. But the reality is, many of us predicted, and it didn't require much creative thought because he told us most of what we knew would happen, including that he would go after his political enemies using the Department of Justice. I am not surprised that he may be using the Department of Justice to go after a political enemy in the current governor of California.
He told us he was going to use the Department of Justice to go after his political enemies. And so it's not surprising that he's using the Department of Justice to go after his political, like, this is what she does. Double speak Kamala, right? Was that eloquent or powerful? Oh, he's only going after the governor who presides over the most corruption on earth because he's his political enemy. Well, if your enemy is corruption, the final boss of corruption, Gavin Newsom, will obviously be your enemy as well. She's downplaying it. How are you going to be my president when you are looking at a corrupt governor and trying to make excuses for him? How are you going to convince me that you're going to go and fight corruption when you literally came out of corruption, out of that corrupt environment? Come on, Kamala. Do better, baby.
And this is why I do believe this, upon many other examples of what is essentially, you're going to ask me questions about the current president, I'm going to be candid, what is essentially the most callous, corrupt, and incompetent presidential administration America's ever experienced.
Callous, corrupt, and incompetent. Right. Come on, guys. Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Burisma, accounts offshore, this much to H for the big guy. I'm the border czar, but I wasn't the border czar. But the president is only announcing it on TV that I am the border czar. But I'm not the border czar, and I don't know how 20 million illegal immigrants came across the border. I am befuddled. But then Donald Trump takes over and immediately stops the flow of illegal criminal alien migrants without changing a single law on the books. Come on, guys. These people are literally projecting. But this was powerful, according to Midas Touch.
And for that reason, I have no question or doubt that we will win the midterms, and it will be a result of people of every background and political association who will contribute to that outcome. I mentioned to one of the officials here, it's important, and I say this to all of my friends here who are not from the United States. Please do know and recall that in the 2024 election, 1/3 of the electorate voted for the current president. 1/3 voted for us, 1/3 did not vote, which means 2/3 of the American electorate did not vote for this.
Right. And 2/3, well, 1/3 of the American electorate did not trust you or the Trump administration. That's the issue. So you have to convince us that now that 1/3 of the electorate now says, you know what? We trust the people who brought us 14% inflation. We trust the people who allowed 20 million illegal immigrants to come across the border to compete with us for jobs and housing and all these things that are already very difficult to find. See, at the end of the day, let's be real. The 1/3 that didn't vote Democrat or Republican, they're probably not going to vote again because you're not addressing the issues that they're dealing with. You're telling them that these things aren't happening. Trust our numbers. The same people who told you Kamala was going to beat Trump in a landslide, based on the numbers, are telling you to trust their numbers because their numbers say that you're really not doing as bad as you claim to be doing. Come on, man. This woman is just throwing out nonsense because she has nothing else. What are you going to do specifically? Continue your 2024 campaign. What are you going to do specifically? Oh, she is continuing it. How? By not having any good ideas, by not having any policy goals, because she is nothing but an empty suit. She's trying to make history. She's not trying to make your life or my life any better as Americans.
And so when there are questions being raised among our friends around the world, who are the American people?
And I have something else to say, and I know I'm talking a lot. This is the biggest problem with Democrats, especially people like Kamala Harris. They are more worried about what people overseas think about America than they are worried about what actual American taxpayers are thinking. Oh, our friends overseas, those are not my friends. I don't know them. Those are the people that I tip when I go on vacation to some third world country. And that's where the relationship ends. And if I didn't tip them, they wouldn't come to my table to serve me. Why do you keep trying to make me believe that these people's, their opinion somehow matters in my country where I pay the taxes that then get shipped over to their country to fill the pockets of their corrupt dictators? Stop it, bro. You want to run for president of the United States, not president of Germany, France, or England, because she would never even be considered for a leadership role in those countries.
I think it is important to know and remember that the American people do stand, the majority of us, for the alliances that we have formed over decades, do stand for the importance of America being, the chancellor talked about this, reliable as a partner, being an authority among many on important issues, including this changing climate and what we must do to save this dear planet of ours.
More from former Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yes. And all this is the dog whistle. If I get elected, support me because the American taxpayers' dollars will begin to flow to your country freely again. Support me because I don't mind being a cuck for European countries, sending them money or paying for their military or defense budgets so they can continue to direct their money, their what they bring in from their taxpayers to allowing illegal immigrants to flood their countries, the Green New Scam and all this other crap. Business as usual. Typical Democrat financial waste will continue and will be placed back atop the totem pole of priorities. That's what she's saying. Dog whistle moment. Trump be damned. I ain't going back to that. I'm not voting to go back to that, and neither should you.
As she talks about Donald Trump's disastrous, catastrophic, and unlawful war that no American wanted, she makes it very clear where she would stand on these issues. I want you to watch right here.
First off, if you were president...
No, she's not making it clear. She is speaking gobbledygook and dog whistling, and you are now trying to convince us that what she's saying actually makes sense, and it doesn't.
Does that war even happen?
So are we going to have this conversation?
Would she have the Iran war?
I'm happy to.
Yeah,
Sure.
she would.
Yeah.
First of all, this is a war the American people did not want. This is a war of choice. This is a president who has proven himself to be entirely self-indulgent. And we will see what happens in the coming hours and days in terms of the negotiation. And really, it's a concept of an agreement.
Really, we will see, right? Why can't it just be like, no, I wouldn't have done it? Let me tell you something. Democrat or Republican, whoever was president would have done the exact same thing that Trump did. Because if you're getting intel saying that they're enriching uranium to 60% when they only need it enriched to 3%, you better do something. Remember, Biden started all this crap by giving them money, which they then turned around and gave to Hamas, who then attacked Israel, right? She can't just give a straight up yes or no answer. She says this is a war of choice, right? That's putting it on Trump saying, well, he chose to do this. Would she do the same thing? Yes. But what she will say is, we don't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. I had to do it. So it's not a matter of whether she would have done it or not. It's simply the way she would have presented it to the American people that would have been different from Trump. Trump's taking accountability. I made the choice. Let's go. She's doing the typical Democrat thing. Let me make it seem like I was forced into making this decision when in reality, it was the decision I wanted to make anyway. Believe me, Democrats also want to be in control of the global oil market. Maybe for different reasons, maybe to force us, under the oppression of the Green New Scam, but they want to control too. Politicians want to control things. Boom, mind blown, right? They want to control, whether it's to F things up or to make things better. They want to be in control. These people are control freaks.
And where it ends up. But there is no question that there is a direct correlation between this war of choice and what has happened in terms of gas prices. It is estimated the average American has spent since the war started $500 more because of this war. And I will add to that number to put it in context. The average American is $400 away from bankruptcy for any unexpected expense. So $400 of an unexpected expense could result in bankruptcy for the average American. And this war has resulted in $500 more.
What's crazy is it's $500 more over the course of 3 months, right? Like, let's be real. It's $500 more over the course of 3 months. You divide that up, right? what is 500 divided by 3? $166 extra a month in gas. Now, that may be a lot for some people, and it might hurt people, right? But you spent $500 to ensure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon. I'm just sorry, but $166 over the course of 3 months is worth it to me. I don't know about you, but it's worth it to me. If she's so worried about what we're spending in gas, how come as a California state senator, she never moved to lower the gas tax, which would have gave tons of relief when it came to what Californians are paying for gas. I paid $4.75 for gas 2 days ago. Remove the $2 in taxes that California is adding on to, my gas per gallon, I would have paid $2.75. They only care about these things when they believe caring about these things will hurt Trump in some way. But all the years she lived in California, worked as a senator for California, Kamala Harris never once brought up lowering the price of gas. She never once brought up lowering the price of gas when she was the vice president to Joe Biden, who had even higher gas prices than the ones we have right now. You can't convince me you suddenly care about this stuff. You only pretend to care because you believe it will hurt Trump. And it's not going to work.
Of expenses, a large part of that because of the gas prices going up.
But to be clear, if you were president, you never start this war.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And
now, absolutely not, right? If you were president, you would have never started this war. Yeah. She would have still engaged in the war. She simply would have said, well, I didn't start this. Iran started this 40 years ago. It's all the wording. It's all the wording. Her mind, as slow as she is, figured out a way in the time she was speaking nonsense. She figured out how she could say she would have never started the war, while in reality, knowing that she would have done the same thing. Oh, it's just the way I explain it. That's what these people are experts in. Her being less of an expert than many.
And let's be clear about this. Let's be clear about this. Thank you, Tim. Let's be clear about this. Choice. Whatever is being negotiated, this president is going to declare victory and will end up where we were after the JCPOA and call that a victory, the JCPOA that he withdrew from.
The Obama nuclear agreement. And so
Yes.
so you're not, I mean, that's your thought on this potential deal this week?
I have more thoughts, but that's not.
Yes, the JCPOA that Joe Biden, right, that involved Joe Biden giving Iran pallets of money, right, that they then turn around and use to fund terrorism. That same agreement, right? But he's not going to bring that up because this is, let's go to other countries and shit on our president day. This is all these people do. They go to other countries and talk down on our country and our leader as a way to get these countries on their side. This is how they promise these countries money without doing it in the open because they know 99% of Americans don't agree with that. They are now having the closed door meetings on stages where they wink and a nod, give the wink and a nod, trash the president to let these countries know, hey, once we get back in, it's business as usual. Y'all gonna get y'all money. Y'all gonna get y'all money. Keep our kickbacks coming in. Has anyone noticed that the Democrat Party is scrambling to find money? Why? Because since Trump's been in, a lot of the kickbacks that they get from other countries by doing shady business have stopped. I'm telling you, this is very obvious. Very obvious. Let's go. One more segment. We gonna give Kamala one more segment.
why we're here.
Yeah, sure.
So we can,
Yeah, well,
Now, former
Oh yeah, this is not why we're here. This is exactly why we're this is not why we're here. So why did you engage in it? This is not why we're here. Nobody wants you at the G7 or anything of that is relevant. But you're going to take any chance to bash the president on stage.
former Vice President Kamala Harris talks about her speaking tour with the American people, what she learned, what she heard from people. Her words are deeply inspiring, and she talks about how after this Trump regime ends, there's going to be all of this debris. There's going to be all of this chaos that we're going to have to confront. Let's play it.
What people are telling me includes that they want to believe in systems, and they've lost trust in those systems. What I hear a lot is that people know that at the end of this administration, there will be a lot of debris. I tell them often, I can't guarantee that it won't get worse before it gets better. But the one thing I do know is at the end of it, there will be a lot of debris. And it would be irresponsible to then address that in a way that we only talk about what should we do, what do we need to do to rebuild. If we do that with any sense of nostalgia, that would be irresponsible. Because the reality is, even before, there were many things that were not working for a lot of people. The status quo is not working for a lot of people. And what the people are telling us is that they want things to be better. And in some places, what that sounds like is we want that to be broken. But they don't actually necessarily mean break it through destruction. But they do mean it has to be better. And I think the people are right. One of the things I think about in the context of the future is Gen Z. I love Gen Z. They are...
Oh, this lady is so fucking cringe. I love Gen Z. They are. Yes, you love hyper-emotional teenagers who are too dumb to know that you're corrupt and crazy. And I'm not going to say they're dumb, because Gen Z showed her, right? They didn't come to vote for her like she needed them to for her to win. She just loves the gullible, typical Democrat. I love people who run off of emotion. They let their emotions lead them, as opposed to people who look at the facts and weigh things out and see what's best, right, for them based on the facts. Kamala says, I went out and talked to people on the book tour, right? The book was trash, right? She got outperformed by Britney Spears and Taylor Swift and Prince Harry. All these other people wrote books and they outperformed her book, right? And it was like 350,000 copies the first 100 days, and then just sharp decline after that. And I'm sure those numbers are greatly inflated, because that's what they do. They inflate the numbers. They'll give money to an island. They'll give money to an island, and then that government or people on that island, names will be used to make a purchase of, 50,000, 60,000 copies. This is what they do. This is what they do. They'll buy their own stuff and say, hey, the sales are amazing. We get that. But Kamala, you've run for president. You've run for president, senator, all these things. Why are you still needing to have conversations with people to figure out what Americans want? And why, when you were vice president, you couldn't even be bothered to offer an idea to Joe Biden to help give Americans what they want? This woman is an empty suit. She will literally do anything her donors tell her to do. You vote for her, you're going to have another Biden, someone who is taking orders or basically being made to believe that they are running the government, while shadowy figures that you will never know are actually running the government. That is the position Kamala Harris is running for. I want to be your puppet. I want to be the face. And you guys make the decisions, and I just auto pin it in. Or I'm able-bodied, I'll sign it in without knowing what's going on with it. She's telling you that. Why are these people trying to convince us that they can do something now that they weren't able to do when they were in power? I only had 100 days for my campaign. Listen, man, it doesn't matter. You were already in office. So the apparatus was already set up. All you had to do was slide into Joe Biden's place, do those debates. This is what Joe was physically unable to say to you. He couldn't keep up with you. I'm younger. I know what we were doing, and I'm able to articulate it in a way to help the American people understand. She couldn't do that. Even though she said, I wouldn't change anything about what Joe Biden did. Look, you'd be the judge. Don't let Midas touch convince you that this lady's the right candidate. Look at what she's presenting to you, because Midas Touch will not be making the decisions. She will, allegedly. So you need to know what she is saying and if she can communicate. Because Midas Touch is saying, well, this is what we thought she was going to do. No. They were saying the same bull crap when Biden became president. You see how that went? Joe Biden's fine. They've already proven themselves to be liars. Don't trust it. Thank you so much for watching this. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Till the next time, peace.